So if your battery Evo Walrus G4 shipped like mine, it came in two different pieces. And so you went to the instruction manual to find out how to put it together correctly, right? And then you found out that the instruction manual doesn't tell you to put part A on top of part B and plug in connector C to connector D. But that's what we're going to do. So let's learn together. So first thing I'm going to do is to get ready for our conduit is I'm going to open up some knockouts in the bottom. So generally I just take a pair of linesman pliers and a screwdriver. We'll find the one that's 3/4 of an inch because that's the size of our conduit, and then we'll just go to town and hammer it out. Okay, so I've got that. Let me show you what it looks like inside. So really I was just opening up this little hole right here. That way I can fit the conduit, and we'll do the same thing for this side. Next I'm going to take my bushing and my nut. I'm going to push this from the bottom and this one from the top. And this will be how we install our conduit into the panel box. I want this good and tight. There we go. We're going to do the same thing for the other side. One trick I found if you can't open the can lid is you take your big pair of pliers and put the handle around the lid and use that, and that opens it up. This gives you more grip and more leverage. Oh, this is a brand new bottle, so this is beautiful. You want to get as much off this dauber as you can because you don't want to flood the pipe joint. What I've found is sometimes you get too much of this in here, and then when you go to stick your pipe together, it just gushes out, and then it actually makes pulling the wire that much harder. So we're going to give it a little bit of a quarter of a twist to make sure that that glue adheres all the way around, and then we're going to do the same thing for the top. And stick it in. And now we're going to continue that pipe all the way across. So again, we got our pipe. Whoops. we got our 90, and we're gonna glue these together. Okay, so take a look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then we're going to secure it to the siding and go all the way across. So next on my list of things to do is to actually drill a hole through my wall, my siding, to be able to get the conduit and the wires into the house. Okay, so there's my hole. Let's hope it fits. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is actually run the wire through my conduit. And to do that, I'm going to take a small section of a grocery bag. This one actually came from Home Depot. And I'm going to tie it to the end of some pulling wire, pulling string. It's actually called pulling line. This one's from Klein, but they make, several manufacturers make it, I'm sure. So I just do a simple overhand knot so it's easy to untie. There's not going to be a lot of strain on this. You want to make sure there's a lot of line pulled out of your container already. I'm going to try to ball it up just slightly so that it kind of seals off the opening. And then on the other end of the conduit, we're going to run the vacuum cleaner and suck this line through. Okay, well, I didn't actually get it on film because I got tired of filming my failures there for a minute. But it came through. Now I'm just going to take the bag off the end and find the end of my wire. So I'd already attempted this once or twice. I've got my 4 different wires wrapped around with electrical tape, and it's got 1 wire for this section, 2 wires, 3 wires, 4 wires, so they're kind of making like a point or a cone. And then I've got this fancy, kind of like a Chinese finger trap, but it's a wire pulling device that will hopefully give me more rigidity to pull this wire through. And I've got one more trick up my sleeve to make this happen. So tie this on. Before we start pulling our wire is to lube your conduit. This is called wire and cable pulling lubricant. It says it wipes clean. I'm going to put a healthy amount of it down here that you're not pulling from, especially if you've got a 90 right after the fact. One little trick is I don't actually cut it off of the container. I just push it right back in because there's no sense in wasting it. Let's see if I can do this. I really wish I had 2 people. One to pull and one to push. At least got the wires. Working so far. I've gotten further than this already on this conduit. Okay, let's try to push a little from the other side. Okay, so now we're actually going to try and pour some concrete. So I got my handy dandy mud mixer over here. And it's real simple. I just take one of the bags, smash it in, and then when I turn it on, it spits out pre-mixed concrete. Let's see how this works. I want it a little creamier than that. Problem is, my post hole auger is only so big, and when you use a 6x6, the 6x6 wood kind of fills the whole hole. Get you a little closer. Yeah, that's the problem. You get it too close, it just wants to bunch up. Okay. So I budgeted a whole bag per hole, and even at 2 feet down, we're not going to use but half a bag per hole. I wish I had a shovel. Let's see if I can find a shovel. Well, it's not a shovel, but I did find a hoe, and this will get something done for us at least. It's a good little pile there. Yeah, problem when you have multiple properties is your tools are at the other one whenever you're working on something. And so that's what it is they're down the street. Actually, it is about a bag already now. So I've widened the mouth of my hole. I hate doing that because it makes like an inverted bell, and that just allows any kind of heaving in the ground to pull your post upward. But it's allowing me to get some more concrete into the hole. So that's a trade-off I'm willing to make. I like this consistency. Okay, so now that I've got enough concrete in there, let's get this thing plumb. Okay. There we go. Give it another tappity tap. Little vibration action. So what I'm going to do is I've got all 10 posts in their holes, but I think I'm just going to pour these outside 4 today, get them perfect, and then I'll be able to tie my string between these outside 4 to get the inner ones straight. Maybe not. We'll see what I actually do, because I hate cleaning the machine twice. Okay. Not sure if you can still see me, but I'm going to try this before I put concrete in the hole. And the bugs are out tonight, golly. Okay. We're catching on power cord. Come on. Okay. At least we don't need our sunglasses much anymore. Get you a little closer. Go ahead and bring in another bag so I don't have to run water in there. Yeah, lugging the concrete's not the fun part, that's for shizzle. My recommendation is always get the 60-pound bags instead of the 80. It might sometimes cost a little bit more. Sometimes it's about the same price. But the ease of moving a bag that you can carry and not wear you out as easily. And of course, try not to breathe the concrete dust. I got some chunks in here. Just breaking those up by hand. Machine does not like those. Okay. This makes it so much easier than mixing by hand. If you haven't looked at these mud mixers, you need to. They're pricey, I'll give you that. If you're only going to do 1 or 2 jobs, it's not worth it at all. You might find somebody local that'll rent it to you. I think the going rate's about 150 to 350 bucks to rent it, depending on if you go for like a whole day, maybe a weekend. But I've done a whole pallet of concrete in one day through this thing. So it's, like, I don't know, 50, 60 bags, something like that, 45 bags, I don't know. And it's a lot easier than using one of those orange concrete mixers. And I've got one of those orange concrete mixers, and I had to use it one time because this machine did break on me. Here's an easy fix. You get the part at Home Depot, but I didn't know that at the time, and special ordered it off Amazon because I couldn't find it at Home Depot. It's in the plumbing section. There's just the water supply line, the hose on it. Is that little like 3/8 of an inch or whatever? That little thing that like an ice maker would use for your refrigerator. So it's just a little elbow that popped off, and then I ended up breaking it because I was trying to put it back too aggressively. Okay. So this wood stake's really helping me push it into the small gap that I have. If I had a shovel here, and if I was prepared like I should be, I'd just be using a shovel. That's what you get for being a boy in a man's world. So you might be asking, why am I using 6x6s? It's just solar panels, they're not that heavy. And you're right. And I probably could have gotten away with 4x4s or 4x6 or, you know, any number of options. But truth is, I already had 5 of these, 6 of these already on hand. No, more than that. So I just had to buy 3 more. And just to keep everything consistent, I went ahead and just got the 6x6s. But golly, first, so these are 10 feet and these are 8 feet. When I bought these a month ago for a different project, where's my level? They were like 35 bucks each. Now there's like 56 bucks. I can't believe what's happened. Oh wow, that's pretty good. Maybe just a little bit. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, that's pretty good too. Why are so many staples? It's brand new. Give you just a little bit more. So I don't want it on the outside of the hole. I don't know if you can see that, but I've got like a little pile around the edge. That's not what I'm going for. I'm going for it to be in the hole. That's just kind of the collateral damage of having such a small hole and not wanting to dig it by hand. So I'm not going to bore you and make you watch the next 8, but that's the basic concept. Is you put the posts in the hole. I use the concrete to help me level it, but you could level it before you put the concrete in. Use the level, make sure your posts are plumb each way, and then let it set. These are so stable I don't need to put a brace on it. We've had a little wind today, but it's really died down, so I'm not worried about anything, and they're not vulnerable to pets or people or plants or anything like that. So we'll see what the rest look like. Okay, I'm gonna try to show you installing some of the wiring. This is how I'm doing it. Your mileage may vary drastically. So these wires are the ones that will be supplying power into my system, and these will take the power away from my system to the sub panel. That'll work. So let's see if I can. Push these in before I mount the box. Does that help me? I don't know. The wires just aren't that flexible. they could make a wire that had all the ampacity capacity, but was as small as a 14 gauge wire. That would be sweet. It'll never happen. Almost. Okay. Okay. See if I get a nice little work area up here. So ignore these wires for now. Just gonna look at the ones inside the box. Gonna mount my NEMA 1450, and this is the 1450R. This one's actually rated for an EV. Let's see, I don't know if you kind of see this little car right there. I got this one. It's a higher quality materials than the standard NEMA 1450 like you'd use for a stove or whatever. We found that under continuous use, like a car would use, that some of the cheaper outlets will melt. Not saying that that would happen in this case, just saying that I went ahead and spent the extra money for me. It is a difference of about $40 more to get this version, the one for EVs. I think it was... Someone's at my gate. Now for the power leaving the G4, it's a completely different type of outlet. This one's got the funky things like you might see on a boat or a generator, or some like hot tables for food service. It's still a 240 volt 50 amp rated, but it's made to be the opposite side of the wire. I, for some reason, could only find exterior designed boxes for that, so mounting it's going to be a little awkward for me, but we can make it work. I might do that, and then the wire can come in from the side. off course. Let's see if my screwdriver can do that. Yay. Oh. Okay, so this thing takes an Allen wrench. So that means I gotta go find my Allens. Okay, so now they're all wired up. Time to set up the actual device. Okay, so now they're all wired up. Time to set up the actual device. Okay, so in addition to the big piece for the bottom with the battery and the top inverter, I also got some brackets and miscellaneous pieces that I think, or if you want to like mount it on the wall or something. I won't be doing that in my case. So we're going to put these pieces to the side. These, I'm curious. Yeah, they don't fit this, do they? I was curious if it linked the top to the bottom together, but it doesn't appear as much. And then we got a small accessory package with some miscellaneous screws, some bolts, and a couple brackets. We'll keep that. And then of course our solar panel connector, we'll put that to the side too. Okay. Who thinks I can lift this by myself? I know I don't, because I've tried. Okay, I did it. I almost fell backwards and killed myself. I probably can't say that. I almost fell backwards and hurt myself. But we got to put together. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and we'll open up these back compartments so we can put this together. So that is a simple Phillips head. I think I can handle that. Maybe I can't handle that. Nailing on a screw. Oh gosh. Well, that won't come back out. Okay, those wires are just a little short for some reason. goes. It's the cutest little Wi-Fi antenna ever. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my wires. So let me grab the wires. This is straight out of the box. I like to plug in heavy duty cables like this with the breaker off personally, because sometimes they're just a little stiff to get in and out. So I have yet to turn on my breakers for my 2 outputs that I wired in. Try to line up. Push that in all the way. Screw that around. Might as well make our wires pretty and have them go around behind. The opposite way. So essentially these are the same cable. You're just having the male end on one side and the female end of the cable on the other side. Okay, let's go turn on our breaker and power this baby up. Okay, so I've turned my breakers on. Let's see if we break anything. Okay, so nothing's coming on. think? Okay. There's a breaker on the side, you got to make sure that it's turned on. Let's go see if my AC works now.